do this. There we go. Joys of technology. I thought that was working. Video broadcast seems to have failed me again. Just 1 second while I quickly fix that. And then we'll be good to go. I knew it was too good to have everything working straight away. But yeah, we should be good. So while that's loading up, what I'm going to do is cover off the last kind of challenge that we did last week. So if you can't remember, it was the challenge around the Java app, and I'll just go over it again and restart it so we can recap and see where we were. I'm just going to do one thing quickly. I do like using broadcast because it does cut out sound, but if you do notice any other issues with the sound, please let me know. I might just revert back to the Yeti, the actual mic as a straight input. Interestingly, the software with Logitech also includes NVIDIA broadcast as well, so it should technically work fine, but I just like going through broadcast. There we go. So should be good now. So yeah, again, welcome back. We'll try to kick this off again. So again, covering off the later challenges from picoCTF. And this was the one that we were looking at, is this Java code analysis. So let me kick this off and start it. And then, yeah, we can begin. Just making sure there's no things in the chat there. Okay, so we're going to go to the app itself again. And let's go to the app. Hit the app, and yeah. So remember, it was this bookshelf thing again. And what we need to do is get to the flag, and if we come here, it says it's locked. And if we go and look at the history here, we can see like there's a login. We get a JWT. So again, how we can define this as identify this as a possible JWT is base 64 encoded with 2 full stops or period marks, whatever you want to call them. So there's the first one, and then there's the second one. So that makes this the header, and we can actually see, if we decode it, we can actually see it's JWT as well. That's the payload, and then that is the signature. What we could also see is there's this role field called free, and that's the one that we have. If we log out, we can also create an account. So that is the app itself, the running app. We also have access to the source code. So I'm going to bring that up. Let's see if we can get the source code up. No, I don't want to open a file. I want to open a folder. Got to remember where I had the source code. Okay, we just had it in the downloads. So here's the source code for the app itself. And when we were looking at it last, we were looking at the JWT side. So I'm just going to kind of cover this off again. So it's a Java-based app, as we can see via the source code. And when we try to look up the flag, the flag, the resource, the flag resource, or whatever you want to call it, we could see it in one of these services. So there's the book controller server. And yeah, so we we're looking at books. So if we're just having a look at this, we can see the different types of books here. And there's the one with the ID of 5, and that's the book of the flag. And if we come in here, it's all good. It lists all the users. There's the sign up, all that stuff. So we can use this to create a user itself. Trying to remember the authentication service as well. It's getting the JWT. Right, that's where we found the signing key essentially. So this is the bearer, so taking the bearer token, using this for authentication, and then it goes to this JWT service. Yep. Uses this thing called secret key, which is generated from this. And if we go into this, we could see that there was a secret key of 1234 if a file doesn't exist. So how we tried that is we went to jwt.io and we dumped in this JWT here, the one that we actually got from logging in. So this one here. So we took this and you can actually dump it in here. And there we go. We can see the JWT. HS means HMAC. So there's a SHA-256 with a key. And then in this case, we tried the key that was set if no file was set. So 1234, 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, we can validate that's that same key. So GCL and it ends in 514, which is that key there, GCL. So same signature, so we can validate that is the key that was used to generate the signature. So now we have that HMAC key, we can generate our own token. And what we could do is just change the role in here. Actually, this is a bit oh, this is missing stuff. Why's there missing stuff there? Oh, there we go. So yeah, we can change this role here to whatever we want. And to find out what role we need is within the resources here. Ah, I forgot to put the music on. I thought it was a bit quiet. I'll put that on. Hopefully it'll be right. So yeah, we'll put the role on. Just want to make sure turn that down a bit. So yeah, take the role. We're gonna have a look at the book controller, I think. So the way it works is with Spring, it does a mapping. So it uses these things in Java called Java annotations, and it basically maps the resource as well as the method type. So you have things like get mapping, you have a post mapping. So this would be a get request. There's also post. So if you have a look at user controller, I think there's post, there's patch, so on and so forth. So what we're looking for is one to the flag book. So again, we're just going to come here again and just double check user. So user. All right, so we're going to come to this flag book here, and it says it's locked. We don't have the access to that. So we'll see where that is. Okay, so it's actually part of this JSON that it's getting at. It's not actually making the request to that book. But oh, there we go. We can see it's got the role admin. So what we can do is if we come here, and we could change this to admin. and just add this. I mean, we could add ourselves as a new user, but let's just try this and see. So if we send this to repeater and we replace this token here with that. Okay, so you need admin role to that. Did that not work? Role admin. So that's interesting. The reason why I say that's interesting, because that should have sent that. We may need to create another user. Yeah, okay. So let's do that. So what we're going to do, log out. We'll call it, create another account. User admin. User at test.com. I know last time we battled to get a password, so I'm just going to do the one password generator. Just make it easier. I think it also needs symbols. Paste that in. Oh. Paste that in. All right. Let's come see here what happened there. Did that not? What? Just want to make sure. Server's running. Okay, so let's try this again. Just copy this password. Yeah, copy secure password. Paste that in. Paste that in. Sign up. There we go. Okay. So once we create that, it returns this payload here. And as we can see in the payload, the role is free, and we get a list of the books, and you need to have admin. So let's take this and change this here. So I'm going to change my role to be admin. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Copied that. We want to come in and change our token that we have stored in the browser. So Control-Shift-I will bring up the inspector and developer tools and that. We want to go to storage, local storage, and then replace this token here. But you see there's also this payload, so it obviously, oh, that's not the right token. We want to copy that. It copies that. There we go. We also want to take that and change that to admin. Right, so now hit this again. We should see, get in the box. Still got that. If we click on that. Okay, so it says, sorry to fail to load the PDF. So we got a bit further. In fact, in case of the other user. So if we go out and we go user, and we try to get this, we had that was locked. But now instead we have this other thing here where the request has still been blocked somewhere. So what we can do is log out, back here, copy this. You know what? I'm just gonna keep the user. So user again. I'll just keep on using this one's token. I know why it didn't work the last time. It's because we didn't modify that other cookie. So I think what it's doing is it's using the kind of pass value for the kind of front end interface. So again, if we edit cookies, or the session storage, sorry, not the cookies. So if we modify that and change that to, well, we can test that. So let's leave that. So that's the new modified cookie. Oh, sorry, not cookie, session storage. Hey, Eddie and sorry, terrible with that. Sorry, I am apologize. I'm screwing up that name. But yeah, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Adonis, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, I am terrible. Okay, so we confirmed that it's still blocked, right? So as a thought, it's really this kind of pass thing. This just seems more of an admin kind of check. There we go. Cool. So that's it there. So there's like a kind of a front end. What do you call it? Front end validation, which is not great. So we can do that now. So let's actually validate that. Let's clear this and go user. So we come in here, blocked. Great. Back and say we now change the role to be admin. So we actually haven't changed the JWT. No. Oh. Okay. It killed my server. Is it still running? What's going on? Alright. Something happened. Let's just restart it. Alright. Let's try this again. So, come in, user. We change our token. And we change that to admin. We have to refresh because it's got the hash at the end of there. So if you just hit the enter on the URL bar, it's not going to actually refresh the page. We come in there. Right, so it failed. Sorry, failed to load the PDF. So there's a kind of client-side validation first, and then there's this backend authorization. So we're now getting further. So we know the actual request it's making. So before it was kind of client-side validation, so it wasn't even making that request. Now we know there's a request being made. So if you have a look at it's to /base/books PDF 5. Go look at the code. There's this book controller, which is what I guess it is. How I got that is I just get books and then looking at the controller names, and we can validate that. So that's going to /base, which is where the request mapping is, and then /books/ID. So /books/PDF/ID. So it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that there. So this is the method that is being called. So it's calling it with the ID. So path variable means it's getting from the path. So that's 5. And then it's doing this here. So let's go. So there's a book service get PDF. All right, so what does this do? Aha. So here's where it's doing the authorization. So it's getting the principal, which is basically the user logged in. It's kind of like the Java way of things. So once you log in, you become a principal. Grant authorities a user ID. So it's getting the user ID. It's getting the book ID, right? So it's doing this post authorized, making this post authorized. So it goes through resource info. Okay, so post authorize. Now, if you have a look here, there's no actual role being passed. So I'm guessing we just have to get the right user ID, because I can't see any sort of role. Let's see if there's a thing here. So is this... So this is Spring, right? So there must be some configuration around the authentication. I just want to check. So there's some... With Spring, it's configuration and convention and all that kind of stuff often. So role repository, user data path. So there's just the configuration there. Public, that's all that. Error. Right, so nothing interesting there. Okay. So I'm just trying to make sure I close all that just to see if we can get a bit lower. Nope. Role repository. ID. What was the ID? Just out of interest. 1. Okay. So there's a book role has a role to it. Weird thing is, I'm trying to check where does the kind of tying up of the user to the book. That doesn't make sense. Payload, get user. So he has a configuration. All right. So these are the users. There's flags. Set role. That is weird. You need to have admin role to access a special book. Flag. Don't see anything there. The weird thing is, I don't understand why it's failing. Let's have a look at this book control again. So go to the get PDF. is this PDF book access check verify. All right. Let's see if we can find where this is. I missed that. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, we go. Right. So it does this PDF access check and then verify. So if we come looking, yeah, here's the verify method. So yeah, as I was saying, passes in the book ID, user ID. Sorry, I got myself confused. So recapping, when you access a book, it does a client-side check, uses the what do you call it? One of the session or the local storage. It uses this token payload, which it gets from the JWT, and that's a client-side check. Then it also does a server-side check, which is what we're looking at now. And part of the server-side check comes into this book controller, calls this service. So this is model view controller kind of logic. So your model is your kind of database representation of whatever. So in this case, book. Then your view is basically the web page. The service is kind of where you can do the fetching of things, and then your controller is where your business logic happens. So that's kind of the premise of a MVC or model view controller. So in this case, the service is getting the book, and within here, it's doing the actual authorization check, and it's taking in the book ID, which be from here, and then getting the principal, which is the logged in user, and getting that ID from there. It calls this class and that method verify. So we know the book ID is 5, we know the user ID is 1, and we also know the error that it returns, which is you're trying to access a resource, but you don't have the permission. Access is denied. So we know that's valid, and we know that's valid because we don't get these error messages. So permission granted. That's what we're going to look for. All right. So equals user.getRole.getValue. So it's looking up the user in the database. Yes, that's why we're getting that failure. And book.getRole.getValue. Okay. So now it makes sense why we're getting that error. So we're just changing the client side. We're not actually changing the user's role within the database itself. So when it retrieves that user from the database, it's still going to have the invalid role. Now, the only way we're going to be able to possibly do this is create a new user and try and modify it there. So let's log out again, and let's come here, admin user, test. And let's copy this, paste that there, and paste that there. So I just want to see what happens when we create this user. If there's any way that we can modify this payload that gets sent across. So there we go. There's our payload. We've got a full name, email, and a password. Okay, and it creates that. Great. Now, let's have a look at the controller for that user and see if there's anything that we can do when creating that user. So, /base/signup is the resource. So if you look at the user controller /base/signup, and it's a post. So here it's taking the request. And calling the user service and basically creating the user. So what we're looking for is the role field and seeing if we can modify that in any way. And this is This is interesting. Okay, so this is finding by ID free. So this is looking up the roles free. There's none there. Message added to the DB. Okay, so there's actually one more thing that we can check. So we can't actually modify this role that gets passed in. There's no way to pass it in here, and it's actually looking up the role via hard-coded. But let's have a look at this user here and see what ID they have. And if you have a look, they have an ID of 6. So we can change the ID and see if we can see if there are any other users with the admin role of or the role of admin. So I'm just trying to think of the best way of doing that. I don't know if there's like a renew service. Let's just come here. All right, so let's have a look at this JWT. So let's take this. That's in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's change this to a 2 and call that admin. Come in here. Remember to change our local storage. Change that to actually, you know, easier way to do this is, I'll show you now. Oh, that was 2. All right, so come here, capture the flag. Oh. There we go. All right. I was hoping for a bit more than that, but that was an interesting piece. So there's quite a bit to take away from there. So I'll recap it, and we can just go over what actually happened and what the vulnerability was. So we've done that. So submit that. So just going over this again, what we did is logged in as user. Oh, that's not gonna work. That killed it. Bring it up again. So logged in as user. Oh. Would help if I actually go to the right host. So user. We tried to go to the flag, but found out it was locked. Looking at the kind of there's a bearer token that was being passed along in the authorization header, and we identified it as a JWT. We tried to modify it, and we still got the error. And we also found that if we modify the token payload session, local storage, it would allow us to go to that book, but it would still fail. And when we clicked on that, it failed, right? Looking at the code, we worked out that if the kind of secrets, oh, what's going on there? If this file doesn't exist, then the secret for the HMAC is 1234, and then we validated that by coming here, testing that, putting in the HMAC, and it's still the same signature. So that means we can change the user that we pass in. We then created a new user, got their JWT, put in here, And one of the things that we found is that user got created with an ID of 6. There's no way to modify or tamper with that. And when we looked at the controller for the book, we found that it was getting the role from the user from the database. So even if we modify the JWT, it would still wouldn't match the role of that user. But what we did find is, as I said, the ID that was 6. So you go from a 1 to a 6. That means there must be other users on the system. So we could modify the user ID and admin, change that, put that in, and done. So yeah, that was a quite an interesting challenge. Apologies, it probably took me longer than it should have. It's been a long day for me. But yeah, that was quite interesting. Probably going to make it a pretty short one today because these are probably going to be a bit more longer, and I don't know if that's Node, not the Ghost. But yeah, gonna call it a quick one today. It's just been a long day for me, so hopefully that's been somewhat useful. Did I have to change both cookies? So in terms of the cookies, I just changed both of them just to be sure. I think what we could actually do, and this is what I actually was going to actually show you, is if it comes to the session storage here. So this here is actually used to call the service and make the network requests, whereas this one looks to be more client-side validation. So we could technically have done the same requests. So when we called this, actually there it is there, but so we got this. If we send this to repeater, and so I told you it's been a long day thinking. Okay, so send that to repeater. Then we send this off. Oh, it's been a long day. Oh. Okay, so there. Now that would be there. Sorry. Just, there we go. So if we send this to repeater, we'll get that unauthorized. And now if we take this, put this in here, change this to a 2. That's our admin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. There we go. Put this in here and now send this off. Then you'll get it. So you don't have to change both. You just have to change the authorization. Even in here. So if we just change this, so that will still be user ID 1. Send that off because that's where the request has actually been made. Using that token, it should then work as well. So you kind of have to change both if you want to go via the web interface, because to get to the book, to know the request that's made, you have to change that payload, but then you have to change the payload so the roles change. You don't have to change the user, but then you change the bearer token so it can actually make the request and get the JWT. And this is kind of why like HMAC is okay. It's much better having something like RSA, basically public key signatures. So that way the private key always stays on the server, never is dished out, and then the public key can be made available to whatever's consuming the JWT. With the HMAC, both sides have to have that key, so it's just something more that needs to be protected. So that's why I like RSA or DSA in terms of HSM's better in a way. But then you got the whole challenge of PKI to deal with. So hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, as I said, I apologize. Today's just been a long day. But yeah, see what we do next week. We might do more of these challenges. That was quite fun. There's some other ones here. I don't even want to know how hard they are because they are other things, and we'll see what they are. And then yeah, there's a bunch of other challenges here. So there's like crypto ones. And categorized ones. Nope. General skills. So these should be fun. And we can give some of those a bash and see how well we can get on with that. But yeah, apologies again, short one. It's been a long day. I need to go rest up. But thanks for joining. Hopefully this is somewhat useful. And yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one. Thanks again. Bye.
Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home.